Well, the vulnerability comes from a combination of things. Of course, the climate impacts, but it has a lot to do with the level of development of the city, the way the country is in terms of its income, income distribution, how many poor people you have in the country. All these factors. It's basically about development overall. And the other main issue is its population in the slums. By definition, vulnerable in every respect, vulnerable to economic shocks, to climate shocks. And now with increased rainfall, for example, the slums, they're not prepared. They're barely prepared for the current rainfall patterns. If you make them more intense and more severe, well, the risks increase, mudslides, etc.
Is another vulnerability President Bolsonaro, who doesn't seem to have the environment in mind?
Well, that's a major concern, and the president himself is probably the major threat we have for the environment and for climate in particular. He was elected with the promises of neglecting or not paying attention to the environment. First thing he wanted to do is to ban the Ministry of Environment, and then he had to go back on this, but he never gave any priority to the environment whatsoever. Brazil has traditionally had a pretty good behavior in the negotiations, sometimes more, sometimes less, but Brazil was more or less on the same wavelength as the world community, and Bolsonaro was elected with the explicit objective of denying climate issues, thinking that environmental concerns are against development. They're major trade-offs. He never understood that, what we're talking about here is increased growth based on a sustainable pattern. It's too complicated for him.
So how important could be what they are talking about in Glasgow, and do you have any faith that that could materially change things?
I mean, we cannot be so pessimistic. We have to find a way, but certainly I personally think we are not at the needed speed. So is Paris, while Paris has been a major success to the extent that, if you look historically, put 200 countries together to negotiate something, it takes time, but the planet doesn't care about this bureaucracy. The planet says, listen, I have a fever, 2 degrees almost, getting to 2 degrees. I don't want to be at that point. You need to speed up.
So if COP26 doesn't come up with meaningful decisions to change things, what is the outcome, do you think?
Disaster for all of us. I mean, we are in a hurry. We need to step back. Let's understand better what this biodiversity has to offer. The local communities, the indigenous people, they know that. They've been there for 5,000 years, and they've been dealing pretty well, conserving the forest, living of its products. Maybe we could learn a bit from them.